The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Father Andrew Kinstetter. Hey, Father Andrew.
Hello there.
And Joanne Mercier. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Dom.
Before we get into today's show, I want to tell you about another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy. And it's not really a show, but an experience, a prayer experience called Pray Station Portable. It is the Divine Office or Liturgy of the Hours of the Catholic Church, and you can pray along every day, several times a day, with Pray Station Portable, one of the oldest podcasts out there, by the way. It's over 17, 18 years old now at this point. So it's been around for a long time, and you can find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/PSP or Pray Station Portable. All right, it is Apple Fanboy Christmas.
Yay!
This is our annual look at Apple's announcements for its September iPhone, etc. announcements. And I want to get right into it so we can talk about it. But before we talk about the specific things that they announced, I wanted to talk a little bit about the announcement itself. It felt like they didn't have a lot to announce. They announced the new iPhones, new Apple Watches, and some environmental stuff. And there felt like a lot of padding to me. What did you think? Did you feel like they were stretching time a little bit?
I thought it was comical how they had the whole drama with Mother Nature.
Yes. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit. It just went on like way past the joke part.
Right. Yeah, and it totally just felt like just filling time. And they always kind of, I started to kind of like skip ahead, like in 30-second chunks sometimes, because they often, say the buzzwords, it makes the iPhone even better. It makes, this is better than we've done before. This is I just kind of wanted to get into the, right. We're going to make your life so much better. And they say that every time. So I always try to just like skip to the meat of it. But I felt it was lacking some of their normal massive announcements.
Yeah. How about you, Joanne?
They had to come up with something that would equal the Craig Federighi bad dad jokes.
Yes, the bad dad
okay?
jokes.
You had to come up with something. Octavia Spencer is wonderful.
She was really good.
She was a great Mother Nature. But yeah, it was like, okay, can we move up? But they did say up front, we're going to talk about Apple Watch. We're going to talk about the iPhone. Okay.
Yeah. No AirPods.
Talking about anything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can get into the environmental announcements things, but I'm not opposed to them talking about it. That's an important issue, but it just felt like it was padded out a bit. But there were some good jokes in it. The guy with the leather jacket, and you, Marlon Brando, that was pretty funny too. But it did feel a little padded. Okay, all that aside, let's get into the announcements themselves. So of course, no surprise, we have a new Apple Watch Series 9 and an Apple Watch Ultra 2. So they've upgraded the Ultra for the first time. It was introduced last year. Yeah, there was something else that came up before, but I'll come back to it. They talked about early on in the beginning how the Apple Watch and the iPhone save lives. They had this video, which was actually very, effective, where it showed these various people using the devices. Then you find out all of these people are real people whose lives have been saved by either their watch or their phone over some past period of time. And how in showing them having a birthday party and how these people would not have had this birthday had they not been given a new chance at life by their devices catching, whether it's an illness or a car accident or something. Pretty wild to see. I have to admit, it was pretty effective.
Yeah, I was wondering where they were going with everything, and then when they start putting the thread together, it was like, ooh,
Yeah.
they're really pulling at heartstrings on this one. But as somebody who wears a watch for that reason, I wear it because of the features that it has at the advanced age that I'm getting to. And my husband the other day, who has been opposed to Apple Watch, has said, everybody I know has an Apple Watch on the golf course. And I'm like, maybe you should think about it. Only because when you're out on the golf course, lots of things can happen and you're not near anybody. I drive a lot, so that's why I have it. So it's good to have these things built into something that is also popular, something that is also, ultra chic, or you want to be in the in crowd by having one. But if it can save your life, fine with me.
Yeah, I think it makes the wearable technology not just something that's cool or convenient, but it makes it, I mean, yeah, if grandma's life can be saved because the Apple Watch detected, her fall and calls 911, I mean, that's more than just a convenience or more than just a cool new techie thing. It's instrumental in saving lives. And I mean, and especially, I think they're pushing this, and I think it's great. The SOS, satellite connectivity stuff. Even with the new roadside assistance SOS stuff. I think all of that is phenomenal because it's affecting people's lives, not just what's fun or cool or the new tech thing.
Right. And that's the thing is, some people criticize Apple for pushing this in every announcement, but I'm thinking, if I'm a giant multi-billion-dollar company whose success depends on people buying overpriced gadgets, let's face it, they are very expensive gadgets every year, whatever. I am going to press the fact that these gadgets also save lives. That these are not just mere conveniences. I mean, they are in some ways, but they are also saving lives out there. They are doing good by having them. That we often talk about the problems that smartphones and other gadgets can cause to our attention, our time, and having being this present. But there's an upside to a lot of these things, and one of the upsides is it's literally saving lives. And I love the one with the mom and the baby. It saved the unborn child and the mother by catching the high blood pressure, I think it was, or the rapid heartbeat. I forget exactly what it was, but it was, like, wow, like this is really affecting, to see these real people. So really cool. So the new Apple Watch Series 9 has a new chip, which, that's to be expected, an S9 chip. And I was watching as they're talking about it. They always go into like the neural engine stuff and all this. It doesn't really mean much to me on the user perspective. It's interesting. But one of the things that made me think about it is like these watches that we wear now are as powerful as some smartphones that are for sale, and more powerful than computers that were being sold like as laptops a decade ago. Like these watches are so, like, we just taken for granted they're just a watch. There's so much power in them that we just can't. We're probably hardly tapping the potential for it at this point. So it's really amazing. And one of the things they're doing with it is, but the more powerful chip, they're putting Siri on the device on the watch. All three of us have Apple Watches, right? Yeah. Have you ever run into the problem of trying to use Siri on your watch and it going, oh, wait a minute, trying to connect to the server, Oh, it's frustrating. Like, why do I even bother? But having it on the device hopefully will change things.
I don't know if this is because I'm a millennial, but I don't actually like to use Siri. And in fact, I don't use voice recognition stuff at all, but it's funny. My dad uses it all the time. Yeah. And even Siri to a point, but like voice dictation and stuff, I think what I use Siri for is if I'm out for a walk and I'll just say, hey Siri, skip to the next song. And but that's the only thing that I do. I don't actually use my watch for it. So what I thought was cool about it was how it connected to your health and how with Siri on your phone, instead of connecting to the cloud, Siri can then access your health data that's local to your phone. And, and it doesn't have to go to the cloud at all. So I thought that was cool, but still I'm not using that. So I don't know if that's because I'm a millennial or what, but
I don't dictate. Like I just can't, my brain doesn't work where I can dictate like writing, like long form writing, but I use it for timers all the time, constantly, especially when I'm cooking, because it's easier when my hands are full or dirty. I know people my age who use it for calls, all their calls. Hey lady, call so-and-so. Hey lady, call so, like they never look up a number. That's not something I ever do. Occasionally I'll have it call my wife, Melanie, but almost never do. Like, I don't do it like to that degree. So yeah, I think I also use it to control smart home stuff, lights and stuff like that. I'm setting scenes and stuff. I have a smart home scene called Lockdown when we leave the house that sets the alarm to away, turns off lights, does the whole thing. But, it's really cool to say, set lockdown, kind of like secret agent guy. But Joanne, do you use Siri much?
My husband likes to say I have the Dick Tracy watch. So people of a certain age understand that as well. Siri is my my alarm stuff. She's my home stuff. She's my set a timer stuff. And I do dictate because I have big fingers for a small phone.
Yeah.
But you still have to look, because certain words she will misspell, or certain proper names. Yep. If it sounds like another proper name, you get that proper name instead. And it's like, that wasn't who I was talking about. She can come on when I don't want her to come on, which is not.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and both the watch and the phones. And in my house, we have about a 2,000 square foot house, upstairs, downstairs. My husband's voice is so loud. He did this with the A lady too. He will set off other ones instead of the one he wants downstairs in the kitchen.
This happens to us too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to turn off the iPad one. I had to he wanted me to turn off my watch. I said, absolutely not. I can't do that. But he'll start, and then I hear ringing all over the house. So I wish they would narrow that. I don't know if that could be solved by him learning, having Siri learn his voice.
It's supposed
Will that change?
It's supposed to, like, your device hears your voice, and it shouldn't activate other ones. But also with like HomePods, it's supposed to take the closest one. It's supposed to, like, they know based on how loud you are, but the microphone, which one is probably the closest one. It's supposed to know that. So it's weird that it's not doing that. But it does in my house too. I have several HomePods that are within loud child's range, and they constantly use them to set timers because they have a limited amount of screen time they get, and so they're supposed to set a timer when they start. And like they're setting the one in my office instead of the one in the living room. It's like, don't yell so loud. So
right, I'm getting the one in the bedroom all the time going off.
Right. So another new feature of the new watches is the new UWB chip. This is actually also in the new phones. So the ultra wideband chip. This is the one that does the Find My thing, the smart finding. They will allow, now you can do in the new watch and phone, you can use your watch to do precision finding of your phone, or another phone to find precision finding of your of your phone or of your friends in Find My. So in the past it was there, it's here in this range, and it's like, yeah, I know it's in my house somewhere. I need a little more help. And so you had to kind of follow the dinging. Whereas with AirTags, you were able to follow the arrow. It would point you to it, and you just walk closer and closer. So now that will work with phones and presumably future iPads and stuff like that. They didn't announce new AirTags with the new chip. My guess is those must be coming. Like because they're gonna need to upgrade those as well, because they've made them more precise. One of my complaints about AirTags has been how often, like, show me where my Kindle is because I have an AirTag attached to it, and it's like, oh, we can't really find it right now. I'm like, I turn around and it's literally right there. Like I didn't need you. I could have just looked around, and found it, but it's like literally right there. And so that's supposed to get better with the new chip. So that's good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know plenty of people that use the Find My Phone thing quite often.
Yes, that's my wife, but and my kids
and me.
Yeah.
And the dinging can work really well unless the phone is under the couch, and then it's like the noise is bouncing off the wall, so it sounds like it's coming from the office. My mom just we did that when I was home back in August. So this is I think it's a great
it's like
idea.
Trying to find the smoke detector with the dying battery. Like, which one is it?
Right.
Oh, I just did that the other night. Please.
It's always in the middle of the night too, right?
No, we caught it before. It started pinging at 9:00.
Oh, good. So the other thing, like I mentioned, is it'll do also with Find My Friend. So if you have a Find My Friend, like I have with my wife and my kids, we're out somewhere, farmer's market was the one that they showed, or, at a museum or something, like, where is Melanie? I wish I had this when I was a kid with my mom at Filene's, because I'd just be running around trying to see my mom's head above the racks. This way you could just, it points and goes, she's 25 feet that way, and just go that way. So that's going to be nice. But again, only the new watches and the new phones, and presumably what comes after. The big feature, I think, is this new double tap thing. And so what you'll do is you'll tap your forefinger and your thumb together to do whatever the primary thing is going on right now. So if you're getting a call on your watch, you double tap those together, it answers the call. If you've got a timer, it stops the timer. Whatever, if you're in the music app, it'll pause or play. So really interesting feature. There is a similar accessibility feature now. Doesn't work exactly the same, but we can get into how that works. But what do you think of this double tap thing?
I think it seems intuitive to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't, when they first announced it, I kind of thought, why? And then when he went on to, say, well, if you're holding a cup of coffee or groceries, and then I was like, oh yeah, we that happens all the time when I'm like, if your phone buzzes or something and you do have something in your other hand, it makes perfect sense to be able to hit a button with just tapping your fingers.
Yeah, totally agree. And Dom and I were talking about this earlier about, you're cooking and all of a sudden you have to hit the phone with, the watch with your nose because you have no other way to do it. Or eating chicken sometimes, fried chicken.
Your hands are dirty. Yep.
Yep. In
totally
fact, I think I've used my nose on occasion too.
Has anyone with an Apple Watch not used their nose to do something on their watch at one point or another? Come on, we can all be honest.
Yes.
Now, you can approximate this on older watches. If you go into the watch app on your phone, go to accessibility, go to assistive touch, and then hand gestures, turn on hand gestures there, and then you have functions for pinch, double pinch, clench, and double clench. And so what you do is when you lift your watch up, you'll see a blue outline around the screen that says it's ready, and then you'll double clench your fist, and that activates it. And so then, for this session, while your arm is raised and the screen is lit, every time you do the gesture, it activates whatever the gesture is connected to. So you can have it do various things. It's not exactly the same. So, like, for example, you can you can say, have it do tap, or have it press the crown, or have it turn up or turn down the crown, or whatever it is. You can set them to various things, forwards and backwards. So there's even an action menu you can bring up you can do various things with it. But and then as soon as the screen dims again, you have to reactivate it with the double clench. So it's not exactly the same thing as the new feature. Not as convenient, but it's got a lot of the same convenience. And I want to see how well it for example does the timer thing, which is probably the number one thing I want to use that gesture for. But we'll see.
I started playing with it this morning, and my husband called. Now I just have it activated. I didn't do anything. All I did was raise my arm, and the call right on the screen, it said, double pinch to answer. And I was like, and now I am running the beta. Okay.
Oh.
I don't know if there's, I am running the beta. So I'm wondering if when the beta is no longer the beta, will we be able to do that? And I was on the phone with them, and then I raised my arm and it said, double pinch to close, to end. And I was like, okay.
And you're on a Series 8?
I'm on an 8, yes.
I wonder if this double pinch is just for the new watches, or will in the next iOS be available to more watches?
They said it had something to do with the architecture, the newer architecture in that watch.
The gyroscope and the...
So it may be native to that watch, but we might be able to reproduce it by using accessibility in the watch, the new watch.
The new accessibility in the new operating system is a little easier to work than the one that I'm running. Because again, I'm running the beta on my phone, but not on my watch, because I'm not as I'm a little more risk averse on my watch than you are, Joanne.
Hey, look, I bought the watch last year. I'm not getting another watch this year.
Yeah.
But if I can replicate it easily enough so that it becomes something that I can use, then I'm all for it.
So the other new features of the watch, there's a new rose color, which is a kind of pinkish color. They've gotten rid of leather across the board for all things, cases, wristbands. They have this new fine woven material that they're producing. It's an artificial material, brighter display. The brightest display we've ever made, which is the usual thing. The prices
again.
Until next year.
The price for the Series 9, I think, is the same, $399. Was that not the same price last year? So that hasn't changed. There is an there's an Ultra 2, the same improvements as the Series 9, the new UWB chip, precision finding for iPhone. They have a new modular Ultra display. I love the jam-packed watch faces that give me like as many complications as you can fit. So that looks awesome to me. But it seems like that's about it. It's just a minor upgrade. It looks to me like it's about $50 more. The Ultra 2, so I think it says $799. I thought it was $749 last year. But they don't say.
I thought it was $799. I thought it was $799 last year.
Okay.
Because I thought it was cheap for an Ultra. I figured they'd go closer to $1,000.
Yeah. I kind of regret not getting an Ultra last year when I got my new watch. I mean, it's a lot of money, and it was hard to spend all that money. But what do they say? Regret once when you buy it, or regret many times when you don't buy it. Whatever it is. But the battery life on that Ultra, like 36-hour battery life, I camp a lot, and being away from charging a watch on the go is a super pain. It's not like a phone. Phone is actually relatively easy, but the watch trickle charges, and very few battery packs do trickle charge, and so it's a huge pain.
And I'll tell you, from a female perspective, it's too big. I mean, I wear my watch 99.2% of the time. The only time I ever go back to a regular watch, it has to be an ultra special occasion where I'm really dressed up.
Yeah.
Other than that, this is the watch I wear. So if I'm going to wear some honking big thing, I don't even wear the 45 millimeter.
Yeah.
It's just too big.
Yeah. I've heard other women say they'd love an Ultra, but they're just too big for them. So let's talk about the phones, the iPhone 15 first. So they brought the dynamic island from the Pro and the 14 Pro. Now it's across the range, which is not unexpected. They brought the same chip that was in the Pro last year to the regular this year. When I think that's going to be the thing going forward. The Pro will get the new chip. The regular will get last year's Pro chip. That's just going to be the differentiator. It's still aluminum. They have this new glass infused back, whatever that is. Pink, yellow, green, blue, and black. Because Pros don't want colors, apparently. They want bland shades of gray and white. The camera is 48 megapixel to make 24 megapixel images, which looks really great. It's got a 2x optical zoom, which is about the same. I like this new thing where you can switch between, if it automatically captures the portrait detail, so you can change the focus in an image if you want something in the background to be in focus instead of. That's always been possible ever since they started doing portrait photography, but you had to use third-party apps to do it, and they were powerful but non-intuitive, and this is a much more intuitive interface, so it's really great, and it's in the app itself, so I really like the addition of that. That's got the new UWB chip. They have this new voice isolation feature to filter out background noise when you're in a loud place, which I love that, because my house is a loud place. And the emergency SOS and roadside assistance via satellite. I like this. And the switch to USB-C for charging. So what do you think of the 15? Apart from the Pro, we'll get to the Pro in a minute, but what do you think of the 15? And again, it still comes in two sizes.
Number one, I don't like the colors.
Yeah.
So if I were to get one, it would be black, which that's what it leaves me to at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not a big camera person, believe it or not, even though I do a lot with it. I have a Pro now, and I don't think I use it to the capabilities.
Right.
So the 15 coming in with Dynamic Island for me is like, that's more what I'm looking for, is to have that feature so that I can put things there and it'll do things there and make life a little bit easier. But I keep, and we'll talk about it when we get to the Pro, but I keep getting drawn to the Pro for other reasons. So especially the blue color.
Yeah, I would sort of agree. This is kind of just a pretty standard, new chip. Everything's a little bit faster, a little bit, better. But Dynamic Island, I could talk forever about it because I've got a 15 Pro. I've got a 14 Pro, so I was able to get Dynamic Island, and that's definitely a really cool feature that I'm glad is finally coming to the non-Pro versions. And then it'll be nice too. I mean, just in general, not enough for me to want to get one, but the USB-C charging station or charging port, just universalizes it. I know it was sort of because Europe is forcing a kind of a standardized port, but there's other things that I use USB-C for, so it's nice to have just one instead of needing a lightning cable for this and a USB-C for that, and now they're all interchangeable.
I mostly MagSafe charge my phone, but in one of my cars, I have to use a cable to keep my phone charged. And when I'm camping, I charge via cable. But it's just another cable. And frankly, I've got an iPad that's USB-C. I've got a laptop, a MacBook that's USB-C. Apple's been going in this direction. That's just I think the EU forced their hand, maybe make them jump a little earlier than they wanted. They have a new AirPods Pro case. It's the same AirPods Pro, but it has USB-C. Although I don't think I've plugged a lightning cable into my AirPods case yet. Anyway, I always do the wireless charging. So I think it's great. The USB-C. I agree. I don't like the colors. I don't like the pastel colors, so for me it would be white or black. And I like this new roadside assistance thing. As soon as they announced it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Apple has Sherlocked AAA, and then it turns out no, it's with AAA. So really great. You get 2 years free emergency roadside assistance with it when you buy the phone, which is kind of awesome. That's not a cheap thing to get from AAA, let me tell you. Although I wonder if it covers the tow and all that other stuff. That's sometimes extra. It probably doesn't.
Yeah, it might just be the service of connecting you to people, which, living in Wyoming, that's a key thing when you're in the mountains and you have no cell service and you need assistance. So
Right. That's the thing, is people who live more remotely. Father Corey has talked about this too, as the one thing that trying to draw some a little bit to the iPhone, and hoping that Google will provide this with the Pixels, is because he's in Montana, is he's often in remote places. And like when you're in Wyoming, Father, but even around here, I've been in places where I don't have this. I go camping. I've been in camping with my scouts in places where I don't have cell service, and having this emergency connection gives some peace of mind. And I love the roadside assistance bit because fewer people are out climbing a mountain and getting lost than there are people breaking down on the side of the road at night somewhere remote. Let's be clear. So I like that.
My husband and I have had AAA for years. So when I saw that, I was like, yes, thank you. I don't know how to turn it into a plus right now because we do pay for AAA, family AAA. So, excuse me, I'd like to see how that works out.
Right. And then in the end, it's the same price as last year, the phone. So they didn't raise the price on these phones either. $799 and $899 to start for the two sizes, the smaller and the larger. That brings us to the Pro, which they now have switched to a titanium enclosure with an aluminum interior structure. Titanium makes it lighter. They have also made thinner bezels around the edges, which makes the phone, they decided rather than make the screen larger, they've made the phone smaller, just slightly, a couple millimeters. But I thought that was an interesting choice. And then they come in black, blue, white, and natural titanium. So black, a different kind of black, white, and gray.
The natural sort of looks kind of brownish.
Yeah.
Though. So that would appeal to some people because I don't think we've ever had a brown.
Yeah.
Phone,
I mean, it's that titanium brownish, grayish, silver, like almost like a pewter. It's not as dark as some titanium things can be. It's lighter. It's a light titanium, but yet it has those earthier tones to it. I'm no designer. What do I know? I know the primary colors. I don't shades of colors. I just don't see those. They have the new action button, which is the action button on the 15. I forgot whether they said that.
No, it's just for the Pro.
This is something they brought over from the Ultra, which is it replaces the mute switch that that has been there forever. And so now it's a solid state button that you can have it by default. It does the ring, the silent thing, but you can reprogram it to do a whole bunch of things, including run a shortcut, which makes it possible to do almost anything with a touch of a button. And I've seen like Rosemary Orchard is a podcaster who is the Automators podcast. She has a shortcut that has all these if statements in it, so that if I'm here, then do this. And if I'm here, then I do that. And if you see this Wi-Fi network, do this. And so that she just, if she's, going to the gym to work out, she presses the button and she's at the gym and sets up her fitness mode. And then, but if she's at work, it does a whole other thing just by pressing the button. I think it's kind of cool. I like that. But what do you think
smart.
She's a programmer. She knows how to do this stuff. Yeah.
I love the whole idea of it because, I mean, really it opens the door to whatever you want it to be. And I can't remember the last time that I actually switched that the mute to on or off, Joanne, maybe she uses it more, but I never use it. So like to turn it into a button that I could use is a great idea because I don't use the switch.
Yep.
Well, if I can get to my shortcut that says total silence in church, that's my problem. Yeah. Is I've had to quickly hit that to turn it off in church. But then what I've found out over the years is that if you have sound on, if you still have sound showing in your sound meter inside, unless you swipe that all the way down, you still get sound. So,
it'll like silence rings and stuff, but like if you're playing a video or something, that'll still go through. And
you can program a shortcut to set your volume to 0. In fact,
I gotta learn shortcuts.
I have a shortcut that runs when I turn on my podcasting mode. That one of the things it does is it sets my AirPods volumes to 0, so that even if they wake and start doing things, they won't disrupt things. Right? They're just running in the background. So that's so you could set up a shortcut that allows you to do that, or you could just leave it to be mute silent. I mean, my wife, her phone is always on mute silent. She never turns it off mute silent. So that's for her, that button would be useful. I like the idea of maybe even using it for a camera. Just like turn on the camera, use it for a shutter button.
Well, and it's
That's
at the
what
right
I'd like.
it's at the right position for a shutter button.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want a shutter button so badly.
And I'm pretty sure
I
I was pretty sure if you push the volume up button when you're taking a picture, it's also a shutter button.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yes.
But this would
Not
just be
always.
a little bit more convenient because I always forget about it and it's not quite as intuitive.
But even just to open the camera app, like just as a quick way to open the camera app, that would be great.
Yep.
The only thing I worry about is this like pocket activation. I just want to make sure that.
Well, I thought they said somewhere that you have to like push and hold it, and there's like haptic feedback that tells you if you, you know. So I don't think it's just a quick press. It's a like push and hold, and then it does whatever.
And probably needs capacitive, like it needs a like flesh to touch it, conductive, you know, like it's like this touch screen, you know, that would be good. What else? I guess I kind of went past the titanium real quick, but I like the idea of lighter, stronger. That's a really nice idea. They, you know, there's a new A17 Pro chip with some parts are 1 atom wide or something. I mean, just like how much smaller can they make things? Lots of talk of mobile gaming, which was a little surprising. Just lots of, including the first time Assassin's Creed is coming first to a non-console platform.
Yeah, the other ones that caught my attention was they showed the Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 games as playable on the iPhones coming, the iPhone 15 Pro later this year, which is those are graphic intensive games.
Right. Kind of amazing.
And it's amazing. This is more my realm because I love console gaming, but I think Apple's still trying to get into the gaming market, and beyond like I know this might sound kind of cheesy, but beyond like Angry Birds and like some of those kind of games, I don't think I'm gonna go for like those kind of games on the iPhone. I want it on a console, on a big TV, and I think it's awesome the capacity for it, but I don't think they're gonna take off as much as they want.
The tethering mode that they talked about, where you tether to your Mac for photos, whether you could do that with this, because you could maybe stream it to an Apple TV,
but if you're gonna do that, you could just, I don't know, get an Xbox Series X or PS5.
You could spend the money on that. That's the thing. It's like that.
True.
Otherwise, it's built into your phone. Like I do that with the Switch, and I do it with the Steam Deck. I stream them to the TV because their screens are small and I'm old, and so I want to see it on the big in glory on the big TV. So they're already doing it. So I like the idea, but it just is interesting to me, and it makes me wonder if this stuff, you know, this is essentially an Apple Silicon chip inside this. This is the M3 probably. Is this also mean we might get Assassin's Creed on the Mac? Or, you know, if they could put it on the iOS device, how hard would it be to also put it on the Mac with an M?
Well, and surely not hard, because they have done it before. I mean, I remember playing Star Wars Knights of the Republic on an iPad.
Yeah.
And then even that was on the Mac as well. And that was, of course, you know, it's a 10 plus year old game. So the graphics aren't as intense as what they need nowadays. But I mean, surely, yeah. But I know it's also incredibly difficult for, I know the consoles to get them to work on all the different consoles. I mean, there's a ton of work that has to be done to get to make those work.
That was the big thing they talked about at WWDC, though, was the making it easy to port Xbox games. So we're boring Joanne, so let's move on.
No, well, Joanne would like to at least interject one thing.
Sure.
As one who is not a gamer, but as one who watches a lot of TV on her phone.
Yeah.
At times, if this type of technology is going to make it brighter and not as laggy, stuff like that, I'm in.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how much TV I watch when I'm waiting for stuff.
Right. Yep.
And you know, so to me, that's what I'm looking for. Games, it's just not my jam.
Yep. But I like the TV. A lot of TV is watched on phones, more than people suspect, perhaps. We have one TV in my house, and when the kids are watching their thing, I'll watch something on my laptop or on my phone or my iPad in the other room, you know, just because. So yeah, that's a big point. The camera is the huge thing this year. I think one of them anyway. Big improvements to zoom, the optical zoom. Now that's got 5x optical zoom, which is huge. That's, it used to be just 2x optical before, I think it was. And I can open up my phone and tell you, but I'm pretty sure it was just I think it was 3x was the optical. And then they give you longer focal lengths, faster lenses, better low light performance. So all of these things all combine together to mean that you can take some really amazing photos. One of the things, the downfalls of the camera has been just taking photos of something that's far away. It's really hard to get a clear photo of anything that's more than 10, 15 feet away. That's smallish, like a bird. If a bird is more than 10 or 15 feet away, it's a blob when you take the picture. So, I like, what's that in the tree? What kind of bird is that? Forget about it. I got to get the binoculars. Like the camera's not going to do it. So I love the idea of getting longer lenses. The Pro Max has the new, it wasn't a telescope lens or periscope lens like a lot of people were talking, but there's this new tetra prism thing where they bounce the light around inside a prism to increase the focal length, which I think is really cool.
That did look cool.
Yeah. But, so the Pro Max, that's probably what drives me to the Pro Max in this time around, because that improvement. It's always the camera thing that gets me. And whenever last year, the Pro Max and the Pro had the same camera. So I just got the Pro, not last year, but 2 years ago. So I just got the Pro. But this year, the Pro Max has the better camera.
You don't think this screen will be too big for you?
I've had a Max before, so it didn't bother me.
Okay. I know for me, every time I pick up my mom's, it's just too unwieldy. I like I don't want a bigger screen than the Pro.
Yeah.
Because that's it fits in my pocket comfortably, and
Thank you.
I have dad cargo shorts, so all the time, so it doesn't bother me.
I'll probably never get the Pro Max because I don't want that. It's just too big.
Yeah.
If even though I need it for my eyes, I adjust text, I do all of that. But one thing that the Pro Max, this Pro 15, really, my ears perked up, was being able to offload video. Did you hear that? Tethered.
Yes. Using a USB 3 cable.
Because normally I don't. I mean, I've got 128 in here, and I've only used half of it. But when I am doing videos for work, all of a sudden it fills up, so I've got to get rid of them quickly.
Right.
If I can do this without having to do that, that's a game changer for me.
Right. So there's two things. One is you can, pros have been able to do this with SLRs for ages. They're in a studio, they connect their computer to the big SLR camera, and when they take a photo, it goes right down into, say, Adobe Lightroom on the computer, and it shows up right there on screen. They can look at it on a nice big screen instead of the little tiny back of the camera. Now you can do this with an iPhone, where you can take shots tethered or video tethered, and it's the Mac in this case that's just sucking down that stuff, and you're not having to leave it on the phone. So that's great. But it's also, because it has the iPhone Pro, it has the USB-C port. The letters and numbers mean different things. And when you're talking about USB-C, C is the shape, letters are the shape, 3 is the speed. So the USB 2 speeds is what the regular iPhone 15 has. USB 3 speeds is what the iPhone 15 Pro has. And so you'll get much higher speeds that way. And I love that idea of the tethered capture. You can attach an external drive to it. You can also charge your watch or your AirPods from the phone, which is, kind of goes back to my thing about it's a pain in the neck to charge the watch when I'm out. If I can put the phone on a MagSafe charger and then attach the watch to the phone, and if they'll both charge, that's something that makes my life easier. So I'm looking to try that out. We'll see how that goes. The other thing is because it's got 3 cameras. This is something I predicted when they announced the Vision Pro. I said the iPhone 15 will be able to record 3D video for the Vision Pro. Because how else are we going to record our stuff to use it? And that's what they do with an iPhone 15 Pro. You can record spatial video or 3D video. So,
which looks cool. It's going to take me a decade before the Vision Pro is affordable, though.
Yeah, the first one is super expensive. It'll be a version 2. They call it the Vision Pro. I mean, does that kind of imply a Vision that's non-pro at some point?
Right.
Maybe? So I agree. It's too expensive. Yeah. They did say early spring, early next year.
Yeah, they said they were on track for 2024.
Yeah, early. So could be first, the first 3 months even. The pricing. So there was a lot of talk that the Pros were going to be more expensive. It turns out that yes and no. The regular Pro is the same price, starts at. The Pro Max starts at the same price as it did last year, but the higher storage options will be more expensive. But to be honest, ever since we've got the Pros, I've never used more than half. I always get the low end storage, and I never use more than half of my storage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Same here.
Especially with cloud storage. Like,
exactly.
My biggest thing is music and videos, and music more than anything, or photos. But with it all on the cloud, you just store it there and download as you need or stream as you need.
And speaking of cloud storage, they've increased the amount of space that you can buy from them, that they will allow you to give them money for more, up to 12 terabytes of cloud storage. That's just amazing.
Don't need that.
No.
This is what gets me about pricing. I am no longer listening to anyone until we get to these announcements about pricing, because I ended up buying last year I had an 11. I ended up buying a 13 Pro because they said the 14s are going up in price. So I said, all right. It was July. I said, I'll buy a 13. Bought the 13. 14 comes out with the dynamic island. I'm kicking myself at that point. Okay. Now this year they're saying price is going to go up. Price is going to go up. I said, I'm waiting. No. It didn't go up again. So I'm like, that's it. So now I have to, I'm going to end up getting a 15 Pro probably. Yep. And I really don't need to, but now it's where the phone is where I need it to be, with the always on. And that's the thing about the Pro. That's the only one with the always on. Right. We talked about that before we started. Yeah. Yep. And I like that feature in 17 where you have it on your nightstand. Yeah. Yep. So never listening to pundits again.
Just listen to me. I would have told you, don't buy it.
I should have.
The other thing to mention about price, I know that because I wasn't going to get one. I can't pull the trigger this year, I think, and get one. But I went and started looking at how much my trade-in value is and all of that. There are some. I mean, my 14 Pro, I think, is worth $570, which is not as much as I was hoping it would be worth. I was, really hoping for a bit more. I know that there are some AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon offer these additional, you can get up to $1,000 in trade-in value. But I was like, oh, that sounds great. And then you look at it and it's like, you gotta finance with them, and you have to for Verizon, I had to actually go to a more expensive plan in order to get the more money, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's actually not worth it in the long run. So more I throw that out there as sort of a caution as you're looking at maybe trading in your phone. Be aware of the offers that are coming your way. Some of them are decent, like just the standard trade-in value, but some of them they're going to get you with 3 years of just a little bit of money each month, and it's going to come out to more than you want.
Save. Yeah.
If you have an Apple Card, you can do the same thing, spread it out over 2 years.
Zero interest.
With zero interest.
It's a free loan. Yeah. Basically, there's no reason
that appeals to me.
Right. With Apple's 0% interest loan, there's no reason to pay upfront, frankly, because it's free money. Why give them all the money now? You're not going to pay more by giving it to them over time. So just give it to them over time. They also have an Apple upgrade program where you're paying the equivalent of over 2 years, but you can get a new phone every year in the program. It's slightly more than just buying the phone and paying over 2 years. But there's those options there. For me, I'm going to get the 15 Pro Max in blue this year. That's it's an upgrade year for me. I generally upgrade every 2 years. That's been my pattern, and I will hand off.
That's been my cycle.
Yeah, I'll hand off my 13 to my daughter who doesn't have a phone yet. So that's been established. She's 15. She needs a phone because she's doing scouts and being out and doing things and needs to contact us, and payphones don't exist anymore. That's one of the things people say about like, oh, why do teens need phones? We didn't have phones when we were kids. Payphones were everywhere. There were no payphones anymore.
Yeah.
So they need it. All right. And I think, was there anything else? There was just the environmental stuff. Like I said, I think it's great that they're going carbon neutral, that they're, that they're trying to balance out their effect on the environment. There are a lot of phones out there, and they use a lot of lithium and cobalt and titanium. And we've seen the stories about the horrible conditions that people mining and refining cobalt in the third world and in China that they suffer under to provide these materials to us. There's enough of it out there in already existing electronics that we don't need to continue to mine at the rate we do. So maybe we should recycle more than we do. And Apple, I think it's great that they have made this a corporate value of theirs. So I don't know how you guys feel about that stuff. I know some people don't care about the environmental stuff. They think it's overblown or it's just virtue signaling, but I like the stuff.
I think in general, as long as we can do what we can to protect the environment, we should. I don't get kind of caught up in the craze or anything, but
yep.
I mean, we should be good stewards of our home, and our home is the earth. So I mean, yeah.
And if it helps the dignity of others too, as well, I mean, that's even more important. So I think that's
absolutely.
Great.
Ditto.
Excellent. All right. So that is the Apple iPhone announcements, and there probably will be more announcements in October. I think I've heard that there's going to probably be like some iPad or Mac announcements in October, so we can look forward to that. So before we move on to our headlines, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Mary B., Charles W., Albert A., Scott H., and Dan F. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So let's talk about some headlines. Our first headline, this is like the Joanne, you shared this one from CNN.
Oh, yeah.
AI technology lets you talk to Jesus or Satan. What do they say? So now,
if anybody believes this, number one,
right?
They're out of their blooming mind.
And for entertainment purposes only, like you don't need an AI to talk to Jesus, and you really don't want to talk to the devil.
We have the Bible.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you.
So, some of it is for amusement. There's a little bit. It feels a little bit blasphemous. It also feels a little mistreatment of people's religious, like if you ask, so this one called Text with Jesus, you can talk to Jesus, or if you pay a little extra, you can also talk to John the Baptist, the 12 apostles, Mary, and I don't know why you would, but okay. But if you ask them about important things that are maybe somewhat controversial, like say abortion, you get like Jesus or Mary telling you, well, we want to respect everybody's beliefs, the sort of thing that's not what Jesus would say.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was a little, I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea. One of these other AIs, the guy said, well, what the purpose behind it was so that, it's a biblical companion. You can provide, let's see, our format is to be conversational and uplifting, stick to the Bible, and not go outside biblical teachings to avoid adding any agenda. And I'm like, that's okay, sola scriptura, so that's fine, I suppose, if you're a Protestant. But interpretation of the scripture, even Protestants have different interpretations. So, like, what are you getting out of this? Like, you can't just, the Bible is already translated into English from a different languages. And translation is imperfect to begin with, and we don't all have one Bible. It's 5,000 manuscripts, whole in pieces over 2,000 years that we've used to compile into a generally accepted Bible. I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea to try to do this. What do you think?
Can we keep remembering that AI chatbots are programmed by people.
Right.
Okay. You know, this isn't Star Trek. This isn't Star Wars. They're not doing their own thing. Jesus would, okay, I could hear some of my more leaning friends to one's right, one side of the world saying, but you know, we can find Jesus in everything. Okay, not in a chatbot. I'm sorry. I mean, and then they're charging money for this. So it's like, I deal with folks, and I know Father probably does too, with folks who are really searching. And you don't want somebody to say, well, I got this chat bot that says, you know, I can chat with Jesus. Oh. Please,
well,
no.
I was even listening to take that a step farther. I mean, I was listening to a podcast where someone was talking about, they had a relationship with an AI chat box.
Yeah.
Because they could share like their deepest feelings and have what comes across as a supportive listening kind of entity. And I mean, someone like that is clearly searching for genuine connection and relationship, and but an AI can't provide that, and neither can an AI Jesus chatbot.
Right.
Well, and the people behind these different chatbots, they say, oh, we're trying to create a non-judgmental space to get Bible-based answers without human bias. And I'm like, or human compassion, human feeling, you know, it's and non-judgmental. I mean, I get people, sometimes people, they have an initial, I just am curious. They want to be able to ask a question without it being interpreted as, hey, invite them to the RCA because they asked a question about the church, right. You know, with no pressure. I just want to ask a question without the heavy sales pitch. And I get that. And there may be a room for that sort of thing in a non-personality based AI without it pretending to be Jesus or Mary the Apostles. But we
already have, I think, some great resources out there already that are not AI based, that are human based. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially if you're gonna go down the, you know, specifically Catholic. I'm thinking like Catholic Answers, and I think there's another website, and I'm blanking on the name of it. They're loosely connected with Catholic Answers, but it's like you can email them questions and anonymous, an apologist, anonymously, and an apologist will respond. You know, so you don't even have to call into a radio show. I mean, like and that's a non-judgmental sort of way to get answers without being, pressured to show up to RCIA. And the chatbots, I think they can be fun as long as, I mean, I think the Jesus thing, you should just avoid that. Stick to, you know, create a chatbot of Luke Skywalker, and that would be fun to. But it's inherently, you know, it's fictional.
I probably wouldn't have had a problem with this if it was a chatbot apologist. Like, even if it was a chatbot Jimmy Aiken. Okay.
Sure. AI
all
Jimmy.
Right? Yeah. So but when you put Jesus on it, when you put Satan on it, when you put Mary on it, all right, you're already personalizing it some way. And I think that's deceptive, and I think it's wrong.
I think Satan is even worse because it's giving you this idea of communicating with Satan. You should never communicate with Satan.
No.
You should reject him. He's the father of lies. He will always work to deceive you, even using other forms. So just don't even go there.
Don't open the door. Do not open the door.
Yep. So our next headline, also from CNN, this is a little more down to earth, shall we say? The airline said her bag was lost, but her tracker said otherwise, so she flew to get it. And this is the story of a mom, a lacrosse mom. She and her daughter had traveled from Denver to Baltimore for a lacrosse tournament. They checked one bag that contained $2,000 worth of lacrosse equipment. You know, good sports equipment can be expensive. And so she put an air tag in it to track it on its way. When they got to Denver, the bag wasn't there. They connected through Chicago. So she called United Airlines, because of course it's United. They said, oh, it's, you know, it got lost. It's in Chicago. It'll show up later. Call back. It didn't show up. Oh, it never left Baltimore. Oh, we don't know where it is. And then she's like, I'm looking at it right now. It is in baggage claim. It has moved 50 feet to the other side of baggage claim in Chicago. Can you just call Chicago? No, we're not allowed to do that. And just, there's a whole comedy of errors until finally she used her miles, hopped a plane from Denver to Chicago, grabbed the bag, and then flew home the same day. It just seems ridiculous, but this is going to be happening more and more as people put more and more trackers on things. And companies are going to need to catch up, and they're going to need to get smart about this. It makes you wonder how often people's bags that have disappeared forever were always sitting right there all along. So what do you think of this one?
I'm glad she was persistent.
Right.
You know, because, and showing them up, because that's why people are putting tags in bags, because this keeps happening. And yes, there is human error, but when you're saying to them, I've got it right here, the tag and the bag are here, and they're still not going to find it.
Right. They're telling you they're not allowed to call.
That is so full of you know what.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to force airlines in general to step up their game, and they need to, frankly. I mean, yeah, we can do a better job of tracking than they can on these things.
What was it, like 8 or 9 years ago? There was the United Destroys Guitars. There was the musician who had his.
I just showed my brother that song, United Breaks Guitars.
And he was flying. He had this very expensive custom-made guitar. He wanted to carry it on. They wouldn't let him. Made him check it, and he's looking out the window at the baggage handlers destroying his guitar, like watching them do it. And then they wouldn't compensate him.
So he made the song, which became a hit, and then they compensated him for it.
Right.
It's on iTunes, or you just Google it. It's a really catchy song too.
It is. He's a talented musician.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting when the new AirTags come out with a new UWB chip, maybe to see you can track your lost bag even more.
Now, see, there's got to be a business here for these airlines that would be able to use another device that could find these tagged items.
Yeah.
There's a business there somewhere.
Well, there's a business for Apple to work with airlines.
You
know, just like they work with AAA on the roadside assistance. Maybe they can come up with a feature that says, we'll work with airlines to track your bags or something. I'm not sure airlines really want to admit that they lose things, so I'm not sure that they would actually do it, but that would be an interesting business.
I mean, on the flip side too, though, like I've had fairly well, thankfully, experiences, and with United, and in fact the United app does a really good job. But I mean, they, in terms of even tracking your bag, it'll tell you, you know, it was checked in, it was loaded onto this plane, it was, you know, arrived in Denver and loaded onto this plane. But that's because that's when they scan the barcode on your, it's not a tracking like Apple AirTag tracking. Right. It's because it's scanned through a particular checkpoint.
And part of the problem in this case was the baggage, the check-in agent put the wrong late tags on the wrong bags. Right. He switched tags. So it was a Chicago passenger's bag, that tag that got on the Denver bag, and that's why it got pulled off, and nobody claimed it, and then they couldn't find it because it had the wrong tag. Well, and then
their computer systems, you know, it's her barcode, you know, vanished basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then our third story is the Pope warns of AI risks, so violence and discrimination does not take root. So this was Pope Francis's statement for the World Day of Peace 2024. The World Day of Peace is January 1st, the Feast of Mary, Mother of God, every year, which is appropriate. And they usually issue these statements ahead of time so that people can, I don't know, plan parties around them. I don't know why they use them so early, but they do. So it's called, the statement is titled Artificial Intelligence and Peace. And the statement is pretty balanced. In fact, Ars Technica, where I saw this article, and the commenters actually praised the Pope for how balanced he was. You know, it wasn't just AI is bad. It's AI can be bad. It can be good. It is a tool, and we have to ensure that these tools are used for the benefit of everyone, but especially those who are most vulnerable and at risk. And I think it's it's in some Vatican speak-ish, you know, it reads sort of like what exactly is he saying? Sometimes like the translations are kind of thickly written, but basically he says AIs have disruptive possibilities and ambivalent effects. We need to be vigilant and work so that a logic of violence and discrimination does not take root in the production and use of such devices at the expense of the most fragile and excluded. And because he says injustice and inequalities fuel conflicts and antagonisms. And that really applies to all technology, not just AI. We have all of these amazing technologies, but there are people who get left behind who don't have access to them. And such inequities and inequalities in access to these things can sometimes lead to conflict. And we have to be aware of that and try to avoid that. So what do you all think of this statement?
I think he read the first article.
About Text with Jesus. Wonder what Pope Francis thinks of Text with Jesus.
Yeah. No, I think he has some very smart Jesuits around him who are into technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are advising him well to get on top of the topic instead of, we're trying to do that here with our Congress, but I won't go there. But at least he has folks who are advising him, and he has his, he has had his mantra about peace and working for the most vulnerable and the poor and the whole thing. So he's putting it all together. He's probably seeing this as something that is going to be very concerning coming down the road.
Right.
So getting out in front of something like that is better than waiting until you have to deal with it. So I applaud him for getting it out there for January 1st, although probably no one will read it January 1st because we all celebrate January 1st very differently. Right. So,
but it's also good that, we sort of need to recognize like it's a tool and that like tools can be used for good, but they can also be used for nefarious reasons and be harmful. And so, with any tool, whether it's AI or even just technology in general, we always want to use them for the betterment of the human person. And you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's good uses here too, but you have to be careful and prudent when using these technologies.
I keep getting the sense that people think AI is going to control us. It's like we have no control over it.
We have too many science fiction movies out there.
Yeah, because it's really cramping people's reaction to this. We are the ones who are in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they just don't get that.
Right. That's true. All right, so those are our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. And Joanne, you're up first. What is your pick this week?
Well, something you'd probably never think I would pick, but this one comes from my husband, who is not as a gadgety person as I am, but he has a car that did not come with a spare tire in it. Mm-hmm. So he had to figure out how he was going to deal with things. So he bought this little inflator gadget. And I never paid much mind to it until last week when my tires started to deflate or my warning light came on. And out he comes with this little Fantic X8 tire inflator. I would say it's about maybe a foot and a half big. And he charged it up a while ago, and he just put it into my tire stem and pushed a couple of buttons, and there it went. All 4 tires and only drained about, I'd say 45% of its battery charge, which now said, I want one of those for Christmas because I'm the gadget queen. It works really, really well. This company, I don't know much about them, but he does a lot of car, he's into the YouTube car people. So people with car restoration, car repair and stuff. So it's the Fantic X8 Apex tire inflator. It runs about $120, but again, with a lot of cars starting not to come with a spare tire or a donut, if you've just got something quick that you need to inflate, this is probably going to do it for you. And the charge, he said, he charged about maybe 6-7 months ago, and it was still a full charge, and it's been in his hot car.
Yeah.
all summer. So
it charges via USB-C, which is nice. It's nice to see
Yes,
no
it
more
does.
USB Mini. It also has a USB-A output port, so you can use it as a power bank in a pinch
You can.
if you need to charge your phone, say. So that's good. Yeah, that's really cool. I like it.
I think it's good to keep in your car and forget about it. It's that insurance policy, that you're buying until you need it.
Yep.
It's just there.
And honestly, a regular tire that's inflated and slowly leaking, I feel like is safer than a donut. Honestly, for one thing,
Exactly.
you're not on the side of the road trying to change a tire. You're just inflating it. Changing a tire can be a dangerous activity, but also getting on a slowly deflating tire, getting to a service station or a home if it's close. Donuts are not safe to drive on for very long. They're just for emergencies, and you can't drive on them over 50 miles an hour. You just really shouldn't. So this is great. It's a well spent $120.
I was impressed with it. So,
all right, Father, what is your pick this week?
Well, my pick this week is going to make me sound like a advertisement for the iPhone 15. But my pick is I've already picked the Dynamic Island before, but this one I'm more specifically focusing on the Dynamic Island with, I'm going to say, the United app, but I imagine other airlines are doing the same thing, but I've experienced it with the United app. So the idea, of course, being is that, I fly, actually, being in grad school in DC, I've been flying like way more than I ever have in the last, decade. And so when you, especially with United, because they fly to small town Wyoming, but if you have the United app and you're, using that along with the Dynamic Island feature of the new phones, it's really helpful because, in fact, they showed it on the keynote presentation too, very, very briefly, but it works amazingly well in that it'll always be displayed in the Dynamic Island, your gate number, and then like how much time you have left before boarding. And then once you're kind of in the air, it'll count down for, supposedly what it thinks is your land time. And then it'll show you, your next gate if you have a connecting flight. And then especially when you got to get to to the luggage claim, it'll tell you the baggage claim number of the carousel. So it works fantastically well. You can be using other apps and it'll still be at just the top of your screen. So you can see, all the information and how much time you have left. And it's just super, super convenient, especially for those that fly quite a bit. And I was kind of knocked off my feet at how convenient it was and how helpful it was, because often, like if you're landing at an airport, they'll often announce over the loudspeaker like what baggage claim number you need to go to. But if you're listening to music or you're watching a video on your phone, you often miss those announcements, and the app will just tell you right there in the Dynamic Island. So it's fantastic.
Really looking forward to the Dynamic Island when I get my new phone. Yeah, that's one of the things. So excellent. So my pick this week is a lot of people may have seen pop sockets. These are the iPhone grip. They either stick to the back of your phone, or they have MagSafe ones where they magnetically attach to the back of a MagSafe phone, and they fold down and then pop out, and you put your hand in it. It gives you just an extra bit of grip on a phone, especially when you have a big phone like a Max, for instance, or a Plus. And I've had pop sockets before. But there's a new company called OSnap that makes an ultra thin version of this. And it is so thin that, in fact, you can use it with MagSafe without taking it off your phone. So because I had a pop socket MagSafe that I used to have to take off my phone every time I wanted to charge it, which is a pain in the neck, and then you lose the pop socket. Where'd it go? This stays on there, and it works really well. I have it on my phone right now, and it's on a MagSafe stand, an Anchor MagSafe stand on my desk, and it's charging. And it's very low profile, and then it pops out, and it looks like it could be flimsy, like it's got these little thin accordion plastic things that attach to it. But honestly, I've had it on there for a long time now, and it is safe, and it rotates to any orientation, so you can hold it. And I love it. One caveat though is I have the same MagSafe adapter in both cars, like charger. And we have a van and a sedan, and on the one in the van, it works perfectly fine. I snap it on there, it charges. But on the same one from Anchor that's in the other car, it connects and disconnects. I don't know. There's something different about it. So for that one, I always end up having to put a cable in it, like I was saying before. Hopefully it'll be different on the new phone, but we'll see. But in any case, the Snap 3 Pro, and so definitely recommend it. So that does it for this time. We would love to hear. Well, before we go, I want to take. Wait, I already did that. I already thanked our patrons, but thank you again, patrons. You probably hear some noise in the background. If you don't, that's great. But if you do, I apologize. I think I'm getting an oil delivery. That's what it is. So it's distracting me. But in any case, we would love to hear what you think of any part of our discussion. Are you getting a new iPhone? What are you getting and why? We'd love to hear from you. Let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where Joanne will be doing an Ask Me Anything this weekend if you're listening to this on the 14th or 15th. So be sure to come by and ask Joanne a question. Like why isn't she getting an iPhone 15 Pro Max? You can find links from our discussion and picks of the week on our show notes on starquest.fm/TEC226. We would really appreciate it if you would go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from and write a review and give us a 5-star rating and share the podcast with your friends. We'd like to thank you all for listening, and until next time, Joanne Mercier, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks, Tom.
Father Andrew Kinstetter, thank you as well.
Absolutely.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest.